Business Focus with Kudzie, Sharara on the Champions League.
8 a.m. is our time. Good morning and welcome to Business Focus right here on Capitoka 100.4 FM Harare's Heartbeat. Good morning, Kudzie. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Tinashe. Good morning, everyone.
Great. Let's begin by looking at the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange trading update for yesterday, Monday.
Thank you, Tinashe. Yeah, so investors are still singing the blues on the SADC with the all-share index coming off once again by 0.98%. The top 10 index doing even worse off with a 1.24% drop. Stocks that dragged the market lower: Art Corporation down by 14.88%, Star Africa losing 5.4%, EcoCash down 4.78%, Delta easing 4.21%, and ZHL down by 2.91%. And there were only four counters that recorded gains. That's ZB Financial Holdings putting on 9.59%, Econet adding 2.51%, and then some marginal gains in Wheeldale and NMB. So those were the top risers, just four of them. And then most of the investors were putting their money into Delta, about 7.3 million ZiG worth of shares changing hands there. NMB getting about 2.2 million. CBZ, Dairyboard, and BAT also getting a sizable chunk of the funds that were invested. Top riser so far in the year is Mashonaland Holdings with a 1,588% gain. Remember, at some point Unifreight had 1,800% gain, but just since come off and is now second top riser with an 858% gain. FBC putting on 5.22%, Art Corporation putting on 4.38%, and then NTS adding 4.9%. So despite the market going on a downward trend for much longer, we still have counters that are really in good money there. That's your Marsh, Unifreight, FBC, Art, NTS, among others. That, for example, if you look at stocks that are above 200% so far in the year, so you look at your even the likes of Star Africa, although they've been coming off, is still 238% in the positive territory. So you would still say they have done well. But then you look at others that are now less than 100% gains. If you then look at the real gains there, you might find that they are in the negative territory when you factor in inflation, when you factor in currency depreciation. So a counter that is, for example, ZHL year to date is just up by 62%. You factor in currency depreciation, which at some point was like 43%, I think. And then you look at inflation, which month on month 11 point something percent in the last count. At some point 37.11% down in October. Then if you factor in those, and then you're also putting in transaction charges, then you'd say again, even though it has a positive 62.9% gain, in real terms it's in the negative territory. Moving over to the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, also that market not doing well this year, with down by 0.78%, and year to date is a negative 1.7%. And on yesterday, the counters that dragged the market lower were in Axia, Insco, National Foods, and Simbisa. All those counters in the negative territory. Turnover was a good 92,000, which was slightly higher than the 30,000 that was recorded on Friday. So that's that's how the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange performed yesterday. And
Yeah. Okay. Let's also look at any corporates that are making headlines in the news.
Yes, indeed. We've got a few. So TSL and NAMPEC, they published separate cautionary statements or cautionary announcement. So when you say a cautionary announcement is when a listed company releases a statement giving caution to their shareholders to say when you are trading our shares, trade with caution, and then they will go on to give the reason why these counters must be traded with caution. It's for both of them. It's because there is a transaction that is currently under discussion where TSL is set to acquire a 51.43% stake in NAMPEC, and those negotiations are still ongoing. and they are engaged in the process to finalize and execute the sell and purchase agreement. So they're telling their shareholders, maybe don't sell your shares or hold your shares, but whatever you do with your shares, trade with caution, because at the end of the day, the outcome of this transaction will have a material impact on your shareholding. So if you believe, for example, that the acquisition of a 51% stake in Nampek by TSL will result in TSL being a much better company or a much bigger company, then you might decide to hold on to your shares. But if you believe that the acquisition will drag the company lower, then you might decide to sell your shares. Same applies with Nampek. If you believe that having TSL as the major shareholder will be good instead of Nampek South Africa, again, you make a decision based on that. That's why they released what are known as cautionary statements. So TSL and Nampek releasing cautionary statements this morning. Also in the news, corporate news, is Econet having announced a dividend of 0.36 cents. But I picked Econet because financial terms. You remember financial terms?
Yes.
So when one thing is that companies, this one is an interim dividend, and it's for the quarter, which means that they're paying quarterly dividends. Normally we see half-year dividends and full-year dividends, but in this case they're paying a quarterly dividend, which is good for shareholders, especially when the capital gains are not as good as you'd want. You can get a bit of compensation when the company pays a dividend. However, financial terms, there are terms that are associated with the dividend. So this is the action and the date. So they will say last date to trade cum dividend. So the financial term
last
is
date
to trade cum dividend.
Cum as in CUM.
Yes, CUM.
Okay.
Cum dividend is Tuesday, the 17th of December. So people will be like, cum dividend, what exactly do they mean when they say cum dividend? So it's a financial term that describes a stock that a company has declared a dividend for, but he has not yet paid out. So they declared a dividend. They will only pay the dividend on the 24th of December, which means even though Paka declare a dividend, tinasho ngosina ma shares in Econet, and ukamatenga nas or ukamatenga before
24.
not 24. Pani yavanozoti record date. Musuno record grounds. I and all my shareholders Econet. So if you buy before that record date, you will benefit from this dividend.
Wow.
Even though by Raka declare we are declaring a dividend, you didn't have shares. You will benefit from this.
So is this date? Do they announce it?
Yeah. So one to perma dates, like line of action. One of the last date to trade dividend, and which is the 17th of December. Yes. If you buy on that date or before that date, you benefit from that. And then one of the buy futi awanoti share trades X dividend. Now can I work to X dividend, even though payment comes to 24, but ukazotenga a day before or on the if it's ahead of a week, or if the X dividend date is on a the record date is on a weekend. But in this case, so X dividend, you are buying the shares. They have not yet paid the dividend, and you are buying the shares. However, you are not going to benefit from the dividend.
Okay.
So cum dividend, you will benefit.
You benefit
even though the dividend was declared before you bought the shares. But ex dividend,
you don't.
You are buying the shares, but you will not benefit from the dividend. Anga ainima shares yayo before you bought them. They are no benefiter, even though amatengesa dividend is badaro. So ndo konangendi now. Ndo matengesa but ngamatengesa after the ex dividend day. And is it, I will still benefit from that dividend.
Inini ndamatenga ndina benefit. You benefit now. Next time, yes.
Okay. So that's those are financial terms, cum dividend and ex dividend.
Okay.
They are very popular when it comes to companies that pay dividends. They have to have those dates.
So these dates, they normally come towards the year end, or they can come even in the middle of the year.
Company painongo declare dividend and apatutora zvema quarterly dividend, which means that after every 3 months,
yes,
vari kubhadhara dividend. Saka statement iyo inotobva yavata say company yakati we have declared a dividend. Rine last date or cum dividend date rabva charobva rapiwa, ex dividend date robva rapiwa, record date buda, payment date musi uchabhadharwa zvabuda. Saka vane former dates avanobva vakupa ipapo pavanongodeclare dividend, vanobva vakupa information wogara uchiziva kuti inini saka ndachida kutengesa mashares aya but paita dividend apa, saka ndinofanira kumira for how long kuti ndimboramba ndakamabata so that I can benefit from this dividend. So you find out kuti after va declare dividend vamwe vanotomhanya kunotenga mashares yayo because they want to benefit from the dividend that has been announced, even though it was announced before they were shareholders.
All right, thanks Kudzie for that one. The 9 minutes before 8 is our time. You have questions to do with business, please come through on our WhatsApp platform 0719-100404. So yesterday we attended the post-budget breakfast meeting that was organized by CZI, Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion, Business Weekly, together with Capitalk. There was a lot that was discussed. Any takeaways out of the post-budget breakfast meeting?
Thank you, Tinashi. So I wasn't there. I had to do some school run. Yeah. School run, but this is cannot form one.
I know.
Cannot form one. Now go to my school run. Which that corner in Rumbengwana iri secure. So I yeah. But however, I managed to listen online. It's actually online. The link is there. I think it's on the Herald Facebook page. The whole conference was recorded live, and the link is there. So I had an opportunity to watch what was being, and I liked one presentation that was done by Mr. Conrad Dube. In fact, he's a doctor, Dr. Conrad Dube from CZI. He had an interesting presentation that he did, and I think I liked that one because it's in line with what we have been talking about, issues of compliance. And his topic or his title or theme for his presentation was the tax, regulatory and licensing costs mix. So what he was basically saying or highlighting in this presentation was that government is no longer getting much money from tax. Remember, when you pay tax, you don't get a profit tax. And it has been coming off 2020 corporate tax. They contribute about 19 to 20% thereabout. But that has since come off to about 9%. That's corporate tax. And one of the reasons that they are giving is that it's because of informalization. So we have got businesses. One, they are no longer profitable. Why? They are facing competition from the so-called tax shops. My tax shops are not going to register or asiri registered. Are formal or are informal. Achitengesa zvinhu zvavahodha through normal channels or zviri smuggled. So this is competition facing the corporate world, right? The formal corporate world. And because of that competition, they are no longer profitable. And when you are not profitable, you don't contribute to the fiscus. So that's number one. So they are saying Treasury, that's the Ministry of Finance, is collecting less and less from corporates. However, because of the regulatory requirements, you see an EMA and any other regulator coming in, collecting their dues, because it's not collected before profit, guys. If you want to operate, panema regulations, nema license fees are no badara, nema levies are no badara. Whether uchazoita profit or not, you have to pay those. And according to this survey, Zimbabwe is the third highest in terms of requirements and mandatory compliance. Must comply with this, pay some money, comply with that, pay some money. And according to this survey, Zimbabwe is number 3 after Tanzania and the DRC. And we have got 51 mandatory compliance burdens in SADC. 51. Yes. And anobata my business is health chakuti 51. Saka izvozvo imagine.
Are they enough or akawandisa?
Akawandisa zvisingaiti. Compare with South Africa. South Africa had got 7. Zambia 11. Mauritius 8. Isusu tiri pa 51.
Why are we having so many like that?
You see, so tine mitemo yakawandisa yekuti tinashe avhura business rake nhasi. Handiti. Oti ndega ndichinoitawo ndiitawo zviri pamutemo handiti. Obva atanga kuona vanhu vanosvika tombotaura ere ma individual 51 or kufanira kufambira.
51 different offices
that you have to go through
for you to start operating.
Kubhadhara futi, it's again that, and the total tax and compliance rate is 32%.
Wow.
And so these are some of the impediments to formalization of businesses and arimo muZimbabwe. And I was thinking, why don't you tinofarira workshop and ngatingoti workshop yekuti deal with these 51 regulations tongoenda all dziningirikini kana iri OPC, because that's OPC ndio runyanyodhila nenyishu dze cost of doing business and ease of doing business. Vongoenda kwavanoenda kunoita workshop for 1 weekend and say out of these 51 toda kusara tine 10 kana toda kusara tiri pane Zambia pane 11 kana pane South Africa pane 7
katindei pa 5
kana wenda pa 5 toita the best. Toenda tonokweshana tigokweshana tichibvisa iyi ngaibve screening tichi the benefits cost benefit analysis of the whole thing todzokako tane 5 chete. Imagine almost everyone would be like, okay, I will comply. And also it means that these businesses vamwe vacho havasi profitable because they are paying so many fees and levies, so they now become profitable. Mari iyo yakuenda treasury. So for me ngavangonombovharirwa kukaripo kunopisa
todzima aircon totapedzera nei muno
da kuti musare ne5.
Ladies and gentlemen, ngatipisanei panapa tikurumidze kubuda panzi pari kutonhorera apa.
Iyi yakakosherei handiti tikaibvisa, what is the impact?
What are the benefits if we lower down all these regulations to probably 5?
Ease of doing business, cost of doing business, we are improving. Saka I don't think states and Elon Musk akapiwa basa na Trump rekuimprove efficiencies in government, and I think these are some of the things that you look at. My regulations anokanganisa business, those are some of the things that they will be striking. Ku Argentina President Mnyoana Rico anza akafoma futi yekuti after every, I can't remember the actual death, but after a certain period vanofanira nga remove 5, after 5 another 5 inenge itori every day. They look and say, okay, haya ngapa.
But at the same time, Kudzie, are we also not going to have a situation where at the end of the day we will still have issues to do with, say, low revenue that's coming into the government?
Ndosaka pachitwa inonzi cost benefit analysis. Anditi unotarisa manje kuti tikaibvisa, what is the advantage, what are the disadvantages, what will be the impact on revenue? Anditi wakutarisa zvese izvo. Saka chakakosha kuti vashoma ivavavo vari kubhadhara tax vabhadhare, kana kuti vakawanda vauye
asi vasingabhadhari
vanouya vasingabhadhare ma-regulations handiti, but because they become profitable, they are now accountable to another, the likes of Zimra, handiti in the tax net vakucontribute something.
So let me just hold you there, Kudzie, because time yakupera. Dr. Dube spoke about that on his presentation. What was the response from the minister?
From I think he liked the ideas. He said they will look into that. I think for him it's actually beneficial to him, because imagine you want to tax collector wenyika yese une ma-obligations akawanda, and yet uri kuwana mari shoma than vamwe vanhu vasina ma-obligations akawanda and asina basa zvekudaro. You une education, une health that needs fixing. I think he's happy with that.
All right, Kudzie, thank you so much for Business Focus. We'll discuss more. But once again, Kudzie, where can people go and follow up on that link to those who are interested in that?
I think first, the Herald Facebook page, the link is there. Yeah.
Okay, the Herald Facebook page. Feel free to go and check out the link, and you can follow up on the post-budget breakfast meeting that was held yesterday. Thanks for Business Focus for today, Kudzie. We'll speak to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Tinashe.
Business Focus with Kudzie Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.